for my camera! I'm picking it up. Sorry about that.
Hi my lovelies, and happy holidays everyone! Why do I sound so fake? Happy holidays, and welcome back to my channel. Yes, I only have managed to get up one holiday video this year. It's very disappointing. I'm disappointed too. Anyways, there has always been a Christmas special that's plagued me every year. Not in recent years, but in my childhood years, growing up, this movie plagued me. But growing up, I would watch this movie almost every year.
It wasn't by choice.
I was simply left to my own devices because back then it was simply like, well, whatever was on the TV, I would be watching, whether I liked it or not.
Back in my day, we didn't have iPhones.
And the movie in question is called Grandma Got Ran Over by a Reindeer. It's nostalgic, not really by choice, but because I've consumed it so much. I swear every year this would be playing on Cartoon Network at least 3 times, and half of those times I would watch it all the way through. Like, at least twice I'd be watching it all the way through, and I never enjoyed it. But because I thought I made this movie up, and you guys did too, I decided to take a stroll down not so happy memory lane, not so enjoyable memory lane, and kind of give it the benefit of the doubt. When I think of like Christmas specials, like animated ones especially that aren't really that popular, this one just comes to mind, that and all of the reindeer. I really wish I would have done all of the reindeer after watching this. Okay, but all of the reindeer is actually good. I mean, I haven't rewatched it this year, which should probably be on my to-do list now. This one, you'll see. Timestamps are below if you feel like skipping, but I do have a little bit of an announcement. Drum roll, please. This will be my last video filming with my iPhone. The star almost... My weak little star at the top almost fell off. Anyway, but I had the privilege of going to Best Buy the other day to buy myself a new camera, or a camera, my first camera. The camera in question is the Canon EOS Rebel T8i. That is a mouthful. With the new year approaching, I will probably be rearranging like the way I upload and like how many times or whatever, because I can finally make my videos long. Me personally, I love watching like those 1-hour YouTube videos. I want to be that person. Especially when it's talking about stuff that's like so niche and like I feel like only I would care about, but like I see videos where it's like, wow, I didn't think anyone else cared that much. So yeah, if you're an avid lulaloopsey watcher, then please stay tuned for that. Okay, enough stalling. Let's get into this video essay. So this story is actually entirely narrated by our main character, Jake Spankenheimer. He starts by telling us that this is actually his favorite story about his grandma. You know, grandma got ran over by a reindeer walking home from our house Christmas Eve. You can say there's no such thing as Santa, but as for him and Grandpa, they believe. If you haven't guessed it, the plot of this movie is actually based upon a Christmas song, also same name, Grandma Got Ran Over by a Reindeer. I've never heard this song outside of this movie. I kind of just assumed it was like crafted for this movie. But anyway, this almost ended Christmas, in fact, and you know, to figure out why, we have to go back to the beginning. It was December, and everyone in Cityville was getting into the Christmas spirit. Also, what kind of name is Cityville? It's like you didn't even try to make this place sound legitimate. If you told me it was on Google Maps,
I would not believe you.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Townsville, you fit the shoe too. Now back to the story. Jake's grandma actually owns a store. I was gonna call it a toy store, but like it has actually various things. From decorations to handmade toys, anything you could really imagine for the holidays, which she clearly loves so much. Hey, I mean, at least the Cityville people know how to support small businesses. Grandma is even reading Christmas stories to children as their parents shop. But immediately, we're introduced to our main antagonist, Cousin Mel. Now, Cousin Mel basically is upset because Grandma is really not as money-oriented as her. Grandma really loves her store because of the joy it brings others. Moments before this occurrence with Cousin Mel, like when we're introduced to her, she actually lets a customer take a gingerbread house who's a regular, even though she couldn't afford it right there and then in that minute. But Cousin Mel is what you would call the opposite of what Grandma is. Now when Cousin Mel is starting up a conversation and like confronting Grandma on her feelings towards the business, Grandma kind of proceeds to talk about how no one else really has an issue and everyone like really loves running the family business and the same way that kind of she does, like not money oriented. But Cousin Mel, her response is just to call Grandma a fruitcake.
You're not a businesswoman, you're an old fruitcake.
Which somehow is a bigger plot point in this movie.
By it, I literally mean fruitcake.
Just you wait. Anyway, Grandma proceeds to talk about how no one really has an issue and, you know, the family enjoys working at the store. Grandma just loves being able to brighten her customers' days. She isn't really worried about the money because she simply makes enough money. However, Cousin Mel doesn't accept this because enough is never enough, in her words. Now we're back at the house to Jake writing his Christmas list to Santa. Also, can we talk about how his sister looks like Bridget from Total Drama? I know this family is like full of gingers, but she's like borderline blonde. Wait, no, the mom's blonde. The dad is brunette? What? I don't like this family tree. I didn't even remember there being a sister in this movie. Anyway, Daphne proceeds to call him Reality Challenge for still believing in Santa Claus. And that was it. That was how I knew this was a 2000s movie.
I thought so. A computer nerd who still believes in Santa Claus. You're so reality challenged.
Like, what does that even mean? It reminds me how, like, now people will comment, like, skill issue under people's posts, and I just...
What are you talking about?
Also, they have a dog, and his name is Doofus. I love him. After this occurrence, Jake asks his mom to basically tell his sister that Santa is real, and she basically tells him...
He's not.
Santa Claus is real.
Well, fill children's shoes with...
I feel like he's not very loved by his parents. Like, that sounds bad, but they don't listen to him, like, in this movie throughout it, you'll see. Then, all of a sudden, his dad comes home with a Christmas tree. Jake is, like, immediate to point out that this isn't a real tree. You know why it's not a real tree?
It's inflatable.
How can I not talk about this without making a Lorax joke?
It's the Oak-O-Matic, the only tree with its own remote. Summer, autumn, winter, and disco.
Grandma got run over by a reindeer.
Though it is quite lame in comparison. Daphne makes a snarky comment about saving the forest and how nobody gets a real tree anymore because it's not cool.
Don't you want to save the forest?
I'm the Lorax, guardian of the forest. I speak for the trees.
My gosh, only 5 minutes into this movie and she was seriously annoying me more than Cousin Mel. Like, it was shocking. Anyway, so they end up blowing up the tree. The mom decides to take a video of the tree and dad is ongoing explaining about how it's gonna save so much time. And grandma kind of chips in about how the experience is really missed with an inflatable tree. I haven't gotten like a real Christmas tree in a couple of years. And I was like listening to her describe it and I was like, you're so right. I miss getting a real tree. Shortly after this, grandpa just like round kicks the tree.
I'll get my fishing boots.
And it just deflates and is all over the floor, and we never see it again. Now, back at the toy store, we meet the most powerful man in Cityville. His name is Austin Buck. He's a CEO of some corporation that Grandma says basically owns everything. Shortly after his arrival, he learns Grandma is reading to the kids dressed up as an elf, so he asks if there's another spirit costume. But Jake says they only have the next best thing, a troll. So he proceeds to dress up like a troll to talk to her, hoping it'd make Grandma more convinced into letting him buy her store. But she isn't really interested at all. He explains he has a plan to have gifts delivered on Christmas Eve with his new Sleighmobile, and his entitlement since he apparently owns every mall.
Do you know why my company controls every mall and sidewalk, Santa?
She ends up asking Jake on his opinion, and he honestly agrees with Grandma because he loves the store as much as she does. In my eyes, it's kind of canon that like he would definitely like take over running the store when he's older. No one in this family seems to actually care about Christmas as much as the two of them. Like, and, I mean, maybe Grandpa.
I'll get my fishing boots.
Maybe not Grandpa. He even says her with no store is like Christmas without Santa. Unfortunately, Cousin Mel is eavesdropping nearby already and just loves the sound of this idea. She also thinks that Jake, like, making such a big decision for Grandma's store is unrealistic because he's just a kid. As if it was not a rhetorical question.
No, I did it so you'd listen to my offer to buy your store.
Didn't help. Don't want to listen.
Austin ends up giving Cousin Mel his business card, and she starts yelling at Grandma like soon after, and kind of shifts into this like country accent.
Do you realize what you just did? You let my fortune walk out the door. That was my future.
Despite it, again, being Grandma's store and not hers, Grandma proceeds to tell her that the store will never be hers.
Cousin Mel, this store will never be yours.
I was... You know, Grandma was honestly in the right for that, okay? Anyways, directly after this, there is our first song sequence of the movie, all about fruitcake, which I've never had fruitcake, so let me know your opinions in the comments. They make it out to be like universally hated or like loved. It seems very divided on if you like it or not.
My yearly Christmas nightmare has just come back again.
What I can say is I've literally never heard anything positive about it. You ask someone realistically their favorite Christmas food, who is gonna say fruitcake? The grandma, apparently. But we learned that Grandma apparently makes a bunch of fruitcakes for like the neighbors and stuff, people in town. And as Jake is helping his grandma with them, Cousin Mel actually comes in because Doofus got out again, which is literally a lie, just to like get them to leave the room. Essentially drugging the fruitcakes so that people don't want to go to Grandma's store.
Don't know who buys your cakes and cookies, but this will for darn sure make everyone sick. That ought to stop people from shopping at the store.
Yeah, because that's somehow supposed to change her mind about the deal. And only Jake notices that Cousin Mel has put something in the mix. But like, he doesn't actively do anything to stop her. He doesn't even say anything. But after this, soon after, Grandma and Jake end up decorating the house together. Jake kind of confides in her before bed about how his sister said Santa isn't real, which Grandma tells him is because she doesn't actually believe. Jake says that if she ever runs into Santa to say hi to him, kind of alluding to like what is soon to happen shortly after this. Also, apparently in this universe they just don't have toes. They have fingers, but
They don't have toes.
it just reminds me of like a little Barbie foot. It's not even funny, I hate it so much. After tucking Jake in, basically Grandma wants to take extra cookies and cake to the community center volunteers. Dad says how it's too late and she could have gone hours ago. But she says basically she asked for their help and they didn't offer it, so she's going now. She's a strong, independent woman. She'd been drinking too much eggnog, so they actually begged her not to go. Yeah, guys, I didn't note it earlier, but Grandma has an egg allergy. She forgot a medication at her store anyway, so she was gonna need to go out. And miraculously, Jake awakes not even seconds later to see Santa's sleigh in the sky just before it hits Grandma. I know it shouldn't be funny, but the way she's just like laying there is taking me out. And of course, Jake rushes to tell his family what just happened to his grandma, but they don't really take him seriously whatsoever. They're not even like rushing to check outside and see if she's there even. Like, they were fully just gonna be like, nope, nothing happened.
The only person who needs help in this family is you.
Saying that he just must have had a bad dream. It literally took Grandpa coming in and being like, oh, I did see that just now, for them to actually go outside and check. But by the time they go outside, Santa has already taken her with him. That may seem a little strange now, but you'll understand why later. The next morning, the cops come to see, and again, no one takes Jake seriously, even the cops. Because the night before, they called the cops about this, kind of like jokingly, just to get like Jake to shut up about it.
But she won't! I saw her! I told you! Santa hit her with his sleigh! Call the police!
Every adult in this movie seems to like think believing in Santa is just absolutely insane and bizarre, and that, you know, he's not a child.
We got a code 1225, Santa Claus is real syndrome family dispute.
Isn't that what Santa does?
How cute. He still believes in Santa Claus.
He proceeds to show the cops Grandma's outline that was left in the snow. Doofus comes outside with them and sniffs around and digs up Grandma's stuff that was in the snow, including her shoes from the horrific scene earlier, her special mug, her medicine bottle, her cookies, and her fruitcake. Along with a note which somehow Cousin Mel was just able to take in front of the police and her whole family and just hide. Soon after, a town-wide search was started for Grandma and a missing person report was filed. At this point, it's now March and months have gone by. They searched for her, Jake even recounting how he put her picture on milk cartons, but again, it didn't help either. The store had to basically be run by Mom and Dad, and like even with their best efforts, it just customers stopped coming in. By now it's September and Cousin Mel ends up calling Austin Bucks to kind of apologize for the way Grandma had treated him last year. You know, the kind of cheesy voice acting in a movie that's kind of like low budget? Not that this was, I have no idea, but I just got this vibe from this clip of Jake laughing.
You're very good looking for a man with deep pockets.
Anyway, but Cousin Mel is really ready to sell the store, but her name isn't on the deed, only Grandpa's is, so she can't actually do anything. Rightfully so. So she decides to attempt tricking Grandpa. So we cut to her and Grandpa at dinner, in which she says, and I quote, "I had you bring me to my favorite restaurant to cheer you up."
You've been so depressed since Grandma disappeared. That's why I had you bring me to my favorite restaurant to cheer you up.
I can't take this woman seriously. You are fooling no one besides Grandpa. Anyway, she ends up asking Grandpa to sign the papers and like fibbing about how it's gonna like revamp the store and like new merchandise, stuff like that. Totally leaving out the part about, you know, buying the store. Grandpa actually misheard her say sing, so then that's the introduction to the next music number. It's just that he would rather sing than sign.
Sign.
Sing?
No, sign.
Sure.
So sign.
I'd rather sing.
Anyway, we get our next musical number, which is a song about Grandma. You can clearly like tell that it's not him singing. Like they you know how they sometimes not the voice actors can sing, obviously, so they hire like a voice actor to be their singing voice so they can sing really nice. I mean, at least with like Greg Heffley from Diary of a Wimpy Kid, I believe that was his voice. You know tonight, and I need you more than ever. It's so upbeat, but like gets dark so fast because this number is about how he thinks Grandma is dead because she's been gone for so long. I totally didn't catch this actually when I watched it as a kid, because he's basically singing about Elvis and how she's gonna meet Elvis or something, but it's because Elvis is dead and he uses the word heaven.
And under the mistletoe with Elvis, he's been consoling her because she's missing Gramps.
But despite his efforts and the amazing musical number he puts on anyway, even though he wasn't asked to, he still ends up signing the papers. So Cousin Mel breaks the news to the parents, saying they've won the lottery, except for they take this literally. They literally think they won the lottery, but she's using it as like an expression.
Going to be rich? Oh, we're going to be rich!
We could retire?
They get really excited too, up until she says like what she's actually done, which is gonna go sell the store to Austin for millions. Jake is determined ultimately to stop her. We get this dramatic scene of him just like rollerblading all the way to Mr. Buck's room. And when we get to Austin Buck's office, we meet Cousin Mel's attorney. And if I'm wrong, I apologize. I literally rewatched this like 3 times.
But her name is Slime.
Who are you?
Cousin Mel's attorney. I am Slime.
You said it, not me.
I thought I might be hearing things. I mean, I did think Austin Buck's name was Austin Box until this point of the movie. Because, like, Jake asked where his office was in this scene, and I was like, wait. But ultimately, Austin ends up buying Jake some time, saying, like, the deal won't close until the end of the week. And Jake goes home and tries to kind of figure out a plan on finding Santa. I am once again a Daphne hater. She tells him to give up as if he's not trying to find their grandma.
Give it up.
But Jake doesn't let this discourage him though. He decides to send Santa an email. Even though like it's not Christmas yet, it's September. Luckily this plan actually works because his letter does reach the North Pole. It's like the perfect time for this email to come through too, because Santa is like going on a tangent about how the people of Cityville don't believe in him.
None! Not a single letter from Cityville! It's as if they're too busy with their prefabricated, mass-produced lives to need me anymore!
And just then, his top elf, Quincy, comes in and gives him the letter. As I said earlier, he took Grandma, so he immediately understands what this letter is talking about and claims that he's solved the mystery of Grandma X. We see Grandma again and discover that she actually has amnesia, not remembering her last name when Santa can finally call her by it. Santa orders Quincy to send a reply back to Jake, but he has some better plans. So Quincy goes to his house, he climbs through his bedroom window, and asks Jake, essentially, if he would like to go find his grandma.
They fly right seat on the sleigh. The man in the red suit doesn't make a move without consulting me first.
Jake then just casually tells Grandpa, I'm going to the North Pole.
Grandpa, I'm going to the North Pole to find Grandma.
Fine. Thanks for telling me.
He should just be lucky that none of his other family members were there. So when they arrive to the North Pole, it's actually revealed that Quincy broke elf code to bring Jake there and like go to Jake's house and stuff. But Santa is like more than happy he's there. They go to see Grandma and for some reason just like fail to mention she has amnesia, but he's still able to convince her to come help even though she doesn't remember anything. Santa and Quincy load up the sleigh and head to Mr. Buck's building right away. When Cousin Mel sees the sleigh and kind of connects the dots to what's soon to be happening, she starts to panic, knowing the deal is going to most likely be called off now that Grandma's back. So Mel's attorney Slime ends up luring Grandma away, or kidnapping her if you will. But we cut to Santa, who Austin doesn't believe is the real Santa until he says what he wanted for Christmas at 6 years old.
You're Austin Bucks. When you were 6 years old, you wanted a Lieutenant Neutron action figure.
Amazing!
After Austin realizes, he's not a phony, he asks him what truly happened that night. We find out Grandma's fruitcake is actually what attracted the reindeer, making them go off course when doing their usual rounds, ramming right into Grandma. He explains how he left a note at the scene saying she could stay in the North Pole for a bit until she felt better, because apparently they have like the best medical care.
We've got great medical care.
And just like that, the deal is called off. But problem there. Quincy and Jake run in telling Santa Grandma had wandered off. So Cousin Mel demands Santa be arrested for admitting to running over Grandma. None of those words were in the Bible. Yeah, like Austin Bucks is just the police or something. Meanwhile, the news breaks that Santa has been arrested. Grandma is actually in a log cabin with both Cousin Mel and Slime. They decide to keep her out of sight long enough for Santa to be found guilty if, since she's not missing, they might as well make her missing. It's so ironic to me that, they're so fixated on getting him arrested, as if I feel like Cousin Mel was just going on and on about how it's all nonsense with Santa, but now she's fixated on getting him arrested. You weren't just talking about him not being real. Slime also cannot just math correctly because she was like, how much do you think he spends per gift?
That's 2.5 billion times. What do you think he spends on average per person? What, $10, $15?
We just saw his elves in the workshop. I mean, I know you haven't seen them, Slime, but it's I feel like it's common knowledge, that toys are handmade at the workshop. So what do you mean? Do you think he just goes to the mall? And shortly after this, we reach our next music number. I honestly forgot how many music, sequences were in this movie, but I guess it's justified because, the movie is about a song, to be fair. I just remember this one, so vividly. It's, one of those scenes, or Cousin Mel, I guess one of those characters where, I didn't like her, but, she made me feel weird because, I didn't know I was gay yet. But Cousin Mel and Slime basically go on about Grandma sewing off the pants of Santa, and they have, fruit on their heads. And I feel like this is so random.
Grandma would have wanted him to. No time for loneliness. Grandpa's gonna sew the pants off Santa.
But back to more important stuff, the evidence actually finds him guilty, even though he hasn't been charged yet. Daphne realizes this will literally be the end of Christmas if he gets charged, as if this whole movie she hasn't been clowning her own brother for believing in him. Grandpa suggests that they should go and find her again, while Daphne suggests maybe she didn't even wander off, which they all connect to Cousin Mel since literally everyone else loves Grandma except for her. Doofus luckily is able to help track down the cabin with his sniffing, and Quincy ends up pretending to be a park ranger, which gets Daphne out of the cabins.
Okay, but don't take too long.
They can take Grandma to the store to hopefully help with her amnesia. Before she can actually help, resolve all this, she needs to get her memory back. But when that doesn't work, Jake ends up taking her home to bake fruitcake. She takes a bite of her infamous recipe, and suddenly her memory has returned. And after filling her in, about what's going on, Jake and Grandma immediately head to the courthouse to prove that she is okay. And doing so, they're able to prove that Santa Claus is innocent. But the lawyer present still says there's charges of a hit and run and leaving the scene of the accident. Luckily, Jake brought the fruitcake so the jury could see that Cousin Mel drugged one that was found at the scene of the crime. With this, Jake is able to prove that whatever was in the vial that Cousin Mel put in the fruitcake gave off the effect of reindeer nip.
That's why the reindeer knocked over Grandma. It wasn't Santa's reckless driving.
I couldn't control myself.
That it wasn't Santa's fault, but it was Cousin Mel's fault for having the reindeer go off course. But this still left the charge of leaving the scene of a crime, though Doofus is able to help clear that one up as well. The dog brings in the note that Cousin Mel initially hid from the family that I mentioned in the beginning when the police were doing the report. Because she hid this note from them, it really incriminates her further, and the case ends up being overturned, and they take her in instead of Santa.
All right, I admit it. Yes, I did it.
With all that finally sorted out, Austin does offer Granny one last deal. Instead of buying, he actually wants to franchise her store and have her be in charge of it all, so her store would be like everywhere around the country basically. And Jake's family finally appreciates him, you know, for saving Christmas, though they never like believed him or believed in him for that matter. Besides like maybe Grandpa. Santa asks Jake what he wants for Christmas, but he doesn't want anything because he finally has what he wanted back, his grandma.
Aw, so cute.
So Santa sets off on his way. But no, you thought it was over?
You thought it was over.
Just then, Grandma opens her fruitcake, but it's actually the fruitcake that Cousin Mel drugged, so then she gets hit by the reindeer again. All of that, she just got her memory back, and she gets hit by the sleigh again.
Not again!
That's it. That's the ending. That's the conclusion. No way that woman could take so much head trauma, like, in such a short amount of time. I mean, it took her till September to even gain her memory back. But yeah, that was this week's video. I hope you guys all have an amazing holidays, and comment down below if you've ever seen this movie or like what your favorite niche Christmas animated special is. I can't talk. And I will see you guys in my next video.